Now, there was a recent Washington Post article titled "The Sorry State of Political Discourse Right Now" in 5 Bernie Sanders tweets. Now, in this article, writer Amber Phillips targeted Bernie Sanders' statements on Trump as an example of what's wrong with our politics today. Oh, this is great. Now, in order to make her case, she pointed out 5 tweets to use as an example of what's wrong with our discourse. Now, I'm going to read them off. Now, one of them is President Trump cannot continue to lie, lie, lie. It diminishes the office of the president and our standing in the world. He also said Trump said that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally and that his victory was the biggest electoral college win since Ronald Reagan. Both lies. Bernie Sanders also tweeted, Trump said it looked like 1.5 million people at his inauguration. Not even close. And Trump was lying long before he was president when he tried to delegitimize our first black president with the birther conspiracy. The United States will not be respected or taken seriously around the world if Donald Trump continues to shamelessly lie. All of these tweets are perfectly correct, logical, and reasonable because they're right. Now, you might be thinking, what's wrong with that? These are demonstrable and easily provable lies. They're not true. They're not true. And Bernie Sanders is pointing out why they're not true. However, Phillips thinks the act of pointing this out is the problem. She writes, this is the state of our political discourse right now. Political norms like don't accuse the president of the United States of lying without evidence, or don't accuse the former president of the United States of wiretapping your phones without evidence, have been eviscerated. There are new rules right now in politics about what you can, can't, or shouldn't say. But look, on these, they've already been proven to be 100% lies. Of course his inaugurations weren't as big as Ronald Reagan's. We proved that. And they were certainly not nearly as big as Obama's. In 2008, he had 1.8 million people. And then in 2012, his re-election, he had 1 million people at his rally, at his inauguration. Donald Trump didn't have anywhere near that. And again, even George W. Bush beat him on crowds. So, again, easily provable lie by Donald Trump. There are lies, and there are fucking lies. And when they're lies, you got to call them out. Again, with the 3 to 5 million undocumented immigrants, also lies. Trump is lying. He's a serial liar. We can point that out, and we can use examples. What's wrong with this? Well, now, she continues by making a terrible analogy. She says, say you have a job, and within that job, you have a colleague. And say said colleague is, in your mind, a frequent and shameless liar. I wonder how they got that reputation, by the way. You're probably not going to want to give that colleague the time of day. The reverse is also true. If you're asked to work with someone who just told the entire office that you're a liar, well, screw them, right? Again, this is a terrible analogy. For one, you're comparing apples and oranges. Working at an office versus being voted for an office. Politics versus a business. It doesn't make any sense. Again, this is apples and oranges. And again, if somebody is a proven liar and you have facts to back you up, which Bernie Sanders does, and anybody who criticizes Donald Trump on the stuff that he's actually lied about, then, well, what's the problem? You got to call it out. You got to call it out. But see, the fact that whether or not that they're true, that's not her real point. No, her real point, and this is proven in what she writes next. Because Senate Democrats can require 60 votes to approve any piece of legislation, they have leverage over Trump and congressional Republicans, who only have 52 members in the Senate. Trump needs at least a handful of Democrats to help him repeal and replace Obamacare, and carry out his plan to restructure the tax code, or pass the $1 trillion infrastructure package. Right now, the exact opposite is happening. Democrats are blocking Trump in historic ways. I love this, right? Like stalling committee hearings for key cabinet posts or threatening to filibuster his Supreme Court nominee. Now, wait a minute. Historic ways. Was she here for the last 8 years? Because that was pretty fucking historic. With Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell blocking pretty much everything. Not only that, they stole a fucking seat. A Supreme Court seat from President Obama. That's historic. But here's what she's saying. Don't accuse the Republicans or the president of lying, because then they won't work with you. They won't work with you to restructure the tax code or repeal Obamacare. Hey, Democrats, play nice. Play nice. You need to be nice to the Republicans, okay? We need to have decorum. No. I'm sorry, but again, were you here for the last 8 fucking years? When Republicans had historic obstruction on everything the Democrats tried to do? Did you get fucking amnesia? What's wrong with you? Do you pay attention to history? Do you even know what's going on? Amber, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you? Look, okay. She's sitting there and she's worried about decorum and civility in an era where that no longer exists. And it existed as soon as a black man got into the White House. And the Republicans went off the rails. You want us to play nice with people that are trying to rip away health care to millions of people? Or who are against funding women's health? Or who are just there to block everything? Who've taken every single opportunity to block, obstruct, and to be as uncivil as humanly possible to a Democratic president. Insanity. And now it's the Democrats' turn to play nice. It's on the Democrats. Do you know that President Obama bent over backwards to try to deal with the Republicans? In some of these debt deals, John Boehner, I remember him bragging about, I got 99% of what I wanted. That's not how you deal. That's not how you make deals. That's not how you compromise. You come at them with your strongest position, and they come at you with their strongest position, and then you actually negotiate. But no. Democrats, you're going to have to play nice. Did anybody ever tell the Republicans to play nice? No, it's always on the Democrats. No, you got to be nice to the Republicans, okay? It's like telling the bully, the neighborhood bully, or the kid being bullied by the neighborhood bully, you got to be nice to the bully. Maybe then he won't punch you in the face and steal your lunch money. Or maybe he'll do it less. You got to work with him. No, fuck that. Fuck that, dude. Another thing Obama did. He put Social Security on the table. He dropped the public option just to try to appease the Republicans, and it wasn't enough for them. And thankfully, I'm actually glad that it wasn't enough for them, because I believe that we shouldn't cut Social Security whatsoever. So in that way, actually, Republican obstruction actually worked in our benefit in a way. Because again, you had a a Democratic president willing to put those things on the table. Because he's not a progressive. Obama wasn't a progressive, and we know that. No, he's a centrist, center-right Democrat. And a corporatist. But anyway. Now, Bernie Sanders essentially is saying the same thing about decorum. We don't need that at this point. We need to be strong. He writes, what should a United States senator or any citizens do if the president is a liar? Does ignoring this reality benefit the American people? Do we make a bad situation worse by disrespecting the president of the United States? Or do we have an obligation to say that he is a liar to protect America's standing in the world and people's trust in our institutions? And on that, no, we don't ignore the reality. If the president lies, and this always frustrates me with the corporate media, for example, you got to call it out. Democrat or Republican, if somebody lies, you've got to call it out. Americans deserve the truth, not bullshit. And that is, of course, one of my biggest frustrations with corporate media, false equivalence. I mean, Democrats over here, Republican over here, lying his ass off. And these people that are paid millions and millions of dollars anyway to be on TV, say, I don't know. It's, Republicans say that, Democrats say this. You decide. No, you don't get to decide on the truth. You just don't. Now, Sanders also writes, that one of my greatest concerns is that that there undoubtedly will be major crises facing the United States and the global community during Donald Trump's tenure as president. If Trump lies over and over again, what kind of credibility will he or the United States have when we need to bring countries around the world together to respond to those crises? I find it interesting that Ms. Phillips did not take issue with my facts. Her complaint appears to be that it is improper for a United States senator to state the obvious. And that is the fucking problem right there. This is all about being proper and civil and following Washington etiquette. Oh, I do declare, the honorable gentleman from New York, we shall not impugn his integrity. Bullshit. If somebody lies, you've got to call it out. Not only as a member of the media, but as a member of the government, you have to challenge those who play fast and loose with the truth. If the media and political leaders, he writes, fail to call lies what they are, then are they then guilty of misleading the public? And to that, I say absolutely yes. They are at fault for misleading the public if they don't call out lies. And it's amazing we have to have this conversation. But there are people obviously out there that still don't get it. Remember, Amanda Phillips writes for the Washington Post. Forget the decorum. That is not more important than the truth. And if you want to keep playing that Washington game where calling out lies is considered so incredibly rude that we must not appear in the name of the senators or our president, well then, no. Nobody's going to listen to you because you have lost credibility. You have lost credibility. How dare you for letting people get away with these falsehoods and creating this false equivalence? The rise of Trump is partly your fault. Yes, of course, there was right-wing media. They go out there and they lie and lie and lie. And the corporate media with the false equivalence don't challenge that. They don't challenge that. People in government, they don't challenge that. And so, look, when the people sit and they see these politicians constantly lie and lie and lie and not get challenged by the very institutions that are supposed to hold them accountable, they lose trust in those institutions as well as trust in those politicians. And that allows somebody like Donald Trump to go in there and say, I'm not a politician. I'm not part of the establishment. Listen to me. I can save you from this. To be able to get in and to be able to swindle people. Because, again, he is a snake oil salesman saying what, like he noticed, yeah, all the politicians and everybody lies to us. What if I run on that? I'm going to get a lot of votes. And you know what? He did. And look, not only that, but you had, for years, decades, right-wingers creating their own media bubble where facts didn't exist. And again, they go on corporate media and they don't get challenged. False equivalence. Democrats say this, Republicans say that. No, it's disgusting. This is what decorum gets us. This is what being nice gets us. It's what helped us get into this mess in the first place. It ain't going to get us out. And you wonder why the corporate media establishment is dying. It's because they're afraid of being considered rude and losing access for doing what they're supposed to do. And that is to tell the truth. Both the media and the politicians need to call lies what they are. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.